Hello, 60s and receiving students. Thank you. You may be seated. And now, class, let us recap on what you have learned in your previous lessons. Who can still remember what you learned in your previous lesson? So 60s and receiving students, let's try to give what or say what you have learned in your previous lesson. Okay, let's have volunteers now. Quickly, Emmanuel.
Types of graph.
Come again, Emmanuel.
Types of graphs.
Okay, very good. Types of graphs. Now, who can give me some of the examples of these graphs that you learned in your previous lesson? Receiving students, I'd like you to tell your teachers, if you can still remember, the types of graphs that you learned in your previous lesson. Milika?
Horizontal bar.
Okay, very good. Horizontal bar graph. Any others? There were more than one graph that you learned in your previous lesson. Any more? Analolo?
Pie graph.
Pie graph, very good. Pie graph is a circle and then it's being divided into sectors that you can represent data on. Any more? Okay, let's have one more. Helen?
Tally table.
Okay, tally table, very good. Good try, but the question is I'm asking for the types of graphs. So we have horizontal bar graph, we have pie graph. Okay, let's have another one. Onea.
Vertical bar graph.
Okay, vertical bar graph. You have used these graphs in your previous lesson to complete certain exercises. So I hope you are able to complete the exercises referring back to those different graphs. We will have a look at the chart that you have, or the tally chart that you have completed in your previous lesson. Okay, 60s and receiving students, I'd like you to look at this chart very closely. We shouldn't be looking into our books. Okay, we have the chart there. You just study that chart, and I will pose a question that will relate to the chart. Okay, class, you were given an exercise to complete to see how many students favored each of the subjects that we normally learn in school. And here is the complete table that you have. 7 people like learning language. We have 10 for mathematics, 8 for science, 5 for social science, 4 for personal development, 5 for making a living, and we have only 4 people for arts. These are the number of students that like each of those subjects. Now, class, which subject was favored by most students? Victoria.
Mathematics.
Do we all agree 60s and receiving students? Yes. Why? Because there are 10 people that like the subject. When we go through our lesson for today, we will learn or come across the proper name that will describe something that is favored or that appears most often. So our lesson topic for today, receiving students and 60s, is kinds of average. Okay, there are certain words that we will go through in our lesson for today, so there shouldn't be any writing. So while we go through the words that we need to define or learn about in order to use to find the kinds of average, we will at the same time go through the learning activity. So here's the learning activity, just to help guide us to really define what those 4 words would mean and how we can calculate those 4 words. There are certain steps that we need to apply when we try to work out the mode, the median, the mean, and the range for each of the scores, or it can relate to any other numbers. So I have these scores that we need to work out to find the mode, median, mean, and range. So this is our learning activity to help define the words. I'd like us now to focus on the whiteboard. I'd like us to look at what mode means. Okay, it clearly states on the flashcard, mode is the score that occurs most often. That is what it means by mode. Let's have a look at those numbers there, the scores. What can be the mode from this set of squares? A number that appears most often or more than once. Quickly, 6s, let's have Moro.
One.
Do we all agree 6s and receiving students? Okay, 1 appeared how many times? Okay, 1 appeared 3 times. Okay, in order to help us work out these numbers easily, first thing you have to do is arrange the scores in order from the smallest to the largest. So I have it also here. That is how you should have find the mode. So you can see that there are 3 ones at the beginning, and then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, and 6. So having in mind when we want to work out mode, firstly you have to arrange the scores in order from the smallest to the largest number. So Moro have also answered our question by saying 1 is the mode in this case because it has appeared how many times? 3 times. So class and receiving students, this is how you should have, or you should be working out your mode. These are the simple steps that you need to apply in order to work out the mode of certain scores, or it can relate to any either measurements and so forth. So we have just completed finding the mode of those squares. Now we are going to work out the median. Very simple. Median is the middle score, the score that is in the center of certain score. You can have some at the end of, let's say, 4, and then you have 1 and then another 4. That can mean median, a number that is at the center. Or I can give an example. If I have 5 scores, I have 2 on one side, 2 on the other side, and 1 in the middle. So maybe 3 would be the median of 5. So that is what it means by median. Using the same scores, we will now try to work out the median. Firstly, it's always best to arrange the scores in order. Like what we have done for mode. So this will only help the slow learners so that they are able to work out the mode in this or the median in this activity. So looking at this, median is the middle score. Firstly, you are to arrange the scores in order from the smallest to the largest score. We have arranged this in order. Looking at those set of scores, how many numbers are there altogether? Or how many scores are there? Okay, let's count 60s and receiving students. 1, 2. Total number of scores is, I would say there are 9 students that came up with these scores or points. A best way that can help you identify the mean quickly or the median quickly would be, let's now try to work out what would be the median in this number of scores. Okay, looking up now on the whiteboard, we will cross out certain numbers to work out what would be the number that will be found in the middle of these 9 scores. So 60s and receiving students, this can be a method that you can use to help find out the median of certain scores. Okay, I have circled one here, and I will circle another one here. So every time you circle one, just to find which one would be the middle number. So 1 is out, 6 is out. So every time when you circle one, you have to circle another one, so it balances out. Are you following 60s and receiving students? So we have 2 down here, 2 down here. Let's continue. 1 here, and then we have 5. How many down so far? 3 down. We have another 1, 2, and then we have 4. So we have 4 on this side and 4 on this side. What would be the median now in this number of scores? Okay, 3 is the median because it is in the center of these 9 numbers or 9 scores. So 60s and receiving students, that can be one easy way that you can use to identify your median in scores. But don't forget, always arrange it in order so you get your correct answer. So our median in this score would be 3. So 60s and receiving students, we will now try to work out what is mean. How can you work out the mean or the average of these scores? Together, class, let's now read what is mean. 1, 2. Mean is the average set of score where you add all the scores and then divide by the total number of scores. That is the simple definition for mean. There is a formula that we need to apply to work out the mean of these scores. But firstly, it says in the definition we are to add. We are to add all these scores. So when we are adding, I'd like you to quickly add all those 9 scores, and then if you have come up with an answer to that, you can always raise your hand up so that we can try to use the formula now to work out the mean. First step, add all those scores. Now, what's the total number of these scores? We have come up with the answer. Let's have Minol. What was the total?
28.
28. Put your hand up if you have come up with 28, just to help confirm Minol's answer. Any other answers? Taylor?
Twenty-six.
26. Any other answers? Rupa?
24.
24. Okay, let's have the last one, and then we can go through that. Sam?
28.
Okay, 28. So there are two people that have come up with 28. So let's go by the bigger numbers to see how you have added. 5 and 5, 10. 6 and 4, 20. 20 plus 3, 23 plus 2, 25 plus 1, 26, 26 plus 1, 27 plus 1, 28. There is a formula that we need to apply to work out this total score. So average or mean, don't forget average is the same as the word mean. So I'm using average in this case. Total score over the number of scores. The number of scores will refer to the 9 students here. These are their scores. So we will do that together on the whiteboard. Okay, total score we have come up with is 28. Total number of scores would be, how many numbers altogether here? 9. So you are going to come up with an answer or the average in a decimal number. So quickly, you divide 28 by 9. In your groups, I'd like you to work out the answer to that. You can go by the longer method, 28 divided by 9, receiving students and 6s. Have you come up with an answer? Same in your group? Have you come up with an answer? Okay, Junior? What is the mean for these scores? What can be the average number or score?
3.1.
Okay, very good. 3.1. And the 1 will continue. So if you are trying to work out your average, the average would be somewhere here. So if these students scored 3 and above, they are in this category going towards the above average. So when you're talking about results, this will really help when you try to work out whether you are a below average person, an average person, or above average. So looking at this whole number 3, it tells you that you are an average person. You have scored a mark, or if you scored 3 and above, you have passed the test, something like that. So when teachers want to work out if the students have passed the test, this can be one method that they will work out. Or if students don't do their test, teachers use this average formula to try to work out the mark that they can give a certain student. So this can be a method that teachers will use to give a mark to students. And the last one is very easy. To find the range, range is the difference between the lowest value and the highest value. Looking at those numbers, which of the score is smaller or the lowest number? Firstly, in order to work out that, we are to arrange the numbers again in order so that it will help us find the range. Now, class, looking at these scores, what is the highest score? Highest value in this number of scores? Victoria?
Six.
Very good. The highest value in this set of scores would be 6. And class, what would be the lowest? 1. So 6 and 1 are the two values that we are going to use to find the range. So it says, don't forget always subtract. The smallest value from the largest value. So here we have worked out the larger value is 6 and the smaller value is 1. So the range here now is, class, what is the range when you subtract 1 from 6? What is the range? 5. So these are some of the things that we need to use to work out the average of certain numbers. So we have just now completed our learning activity. So I will just run through again. Firstly, we worked out the mode. And these are the steps to follow when we try to work out the mode. Then we went on by working out the median, the middle number of these scores. After that, we used the formula to work out the mean or the average of these certain scores. And lastly, don't forget we must also find the range. And the range is the difference between the highest score and the smallest score. We will now go on into doing an activity, but it will be done as a group. So if we don't complete this activity, we will complete that for homework, and then I can always correct that in our next lesson. 60s and receiving students, in groups, find the mode, median, mean, and range for the following weights. We have 39, 44, 63, 57, 23, 43, 43, 52, 43, and 43. These are the scores that you are going to use to find the mode, median, mean, and range. 60s and receiving students, are we clear now on what to do for the activity? If you are not clear, receiving students, do not hesitate to ask your teacher for assistance. So I'd like you to work in groups to come up with your answers and then have your answers on the chat. Can one one of you come and sit here. There are too many of you there. Make sure to write your answers on the chart. Pass on to those ones that are there. Pass on. Make sure you return them. Everybody should be contributing in working out the answers. Group leaders, you can ask each student to work on each of those. There are 4 to work on, so instead of everyone working on one, you select a student to work on each particular word. Like what I've done on the flashcards, you do the same, but you can have yours as normal. You can work out your answers separately and then transfer it onto the chart. Or if it's for you to add, at least you saw the working out on that chart, so I would be able to find whether you understood what we learned in the lesson or not.
There's no middle number for the median.
Okay, be careful. When there are 2 numbers, then you have to add the 2 numbers and then you divide it by 2 in order for you to find the mean.
So we'll add these 2 and
Yes,
then
divide by 2 and then that's the middle one. Receiving students and 6s, be careful with the median. When you're trying to find the median, you will see that there are 2 numbers that is going to be left in the middle. So in order for you to work out the median, I will just give you a clue here. You add the two numbers and then you divide by 2. So you come up with just one answer. I will repeat. Finding the median of those certain weights, you will see that you have two numbers in the middle of those scores. In order to be left with just one, you add those two numbers that are left in the middle, and then you divide it by 2. So you come up with just one answer as your median. Median is always given as one answer and not 2. Should you need more paper, do not hesitate to ask. I have more papers to give them, but I'd like you to at least attend to all those terms, work out the answers to them. So I will see whether you really understood or grasped the steps on how to work out the answers to those. Okay, I can see that all the groups are into their activity, but because time has caught up with us, I will collect your papers later to check through if you have completed everything. Okay, 6Cs and receiving students. 6Cs, can I have your attention? Okay, if you haven't completed the exercise, I'd like you to complete that for homework. So in our next lesson, we are going to present our answers to that particular activity. So 6Cs and receiving students, don't forget to at least complete this exercise, because that will help you and I see whether we have understood what was learned during the lesson. With that, 6Cs and receiving students, I'd like us now to quickly give a summary on what we have learned in our lesson for today. If we can just have a word or two being remembered in our head. So I will be picking students to just give me a short summary of what we have learned in our lesson for today. Okay, let's have Uval. What did you learn in our lesson for today? Give a short summary what you learned in today's lesson. Loud and clear. Thank you, Uval.
I learned about mode, median, mean, and range.
Okay, he learned about mode, mean, median, and range. Give me a short definition on what is a range. Let's have Alan. Receiving students, I hope you will give a short definition to your teacher as to what range mean.
Range is a difference between the lowest value and the highest value.
Okay, very good. Range is the difference between the lowest value and the highest value. Don't forget 6Cs and receiving students. Please have time to look through those words so that you know what they really mean and how you are going to use the steps and method to work out the answers to them. With that, 6Cs and receiving students, we will now go on to our words that we have used for today, and they are there: mode, median, mean, and range. So these are the keywords that we have picked out from our lesson for today. To the receiving teacher, our next lesson topic is on sets. Materials needed for the particular lesson are blank circles, words prepared on strips of paper, words such as intersecting set, union set, Venn diagram, sets alone, to be prepared on the strip of paper ready for that particular lesson. You also needed to prepare the A3 paper and markers so that you can use for the group activity. With that, 60s and receiving students, we have come to the end of our lesson. Thank you very much for your participation.